Hard Rock Cancun is one of the staple resorts in the Cancun hotel zone and has been an iconic brand for many, many years, with multiple locations of all-inclusive resorts all over the world. The slogan, "Party Like a Rock Star," takes to a different meaning here with its 7 bars and 7 restaurants. Today we're going to be going over an in-depth review of food, drinks, entertainment, and accommodations to give you guys a general overview of the Hard Rock Cancun and if you should be staying there. We're going to start off with arguably the most important thing on any vacation, which is food. One thing to note is reservations aren't required for any restaurants other than the hibachi table, but they are highly encouraged because you can be waiting for quite some time in each restaurant, probably like anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the time of year that you go. So if you want to make reservations, you could do so at 11 a.m. at Chow for every day that you're there. Also, if you want to book ahead, hibachi is the only restaurant that you could book a few days in advance. So we got there Thursday, we went to go get reservations on Friday, and we had our reservations for Saturday. You can book out as far in advance as you would like. Only for the hibachi table, everything else is same-day reservations. We started off our stay at the Hard Rock at one of the most popular restaurant options, which is the steakhouse called Toro. I have to say, it was absolutely incredible. Their appetizers were absolutely fantastic. They had short rib, which melted in your mouth, and then they had chorizo argentino, which is basically chorizo and garlic bread, which you literally cannot go wrong with those two ingredients. For an entree, we had the beef fillet, which was seasoned really well. It was cooked to perfection. And honestly, this really set the tone of our stay. The Hard Rock Cancun is actually known for their food, and I have to say, throughout all the times we sat down and had a meal, everything was really well done, with the quality of ingredients being really high and everything being cooked for exactly how we ordered it. It's worth noting that Toro is a destination restaurant, so you might have to wait some time depending on what time of year you're traveling to Cancun. However, we really didn't have to wait at all. We were seated down immediately. We had a table for 8 people, which lets you know that the restaurant can accommodate for larger groups. And the service was super attentive. They came, took our drink orders right away, and then our appetizers and entrees. Also worth noting, this is the only restaurant that actually served espresso martinis. So if you're an espresso martini fan, word to the wise, make sure you get them while you're at Toro because you're not going to be able to get them anywhere else on the property. Our second dinner was at the Japanese-styled restaurant called Zen. Zen really never had a line, period, so when all else fails, you can definitely go to Zen for a sit-down dinner. The food was really good at Zen. It is worth noting, though, it is a sushi and Japanese-inspired restaurant, and you cannot get the sushi at the Japanese table section. You can only get sushi at the sushi bar, which really made no sense to us because they're literally in the same restaurant, but I think because of how expensive sushi is, they try to limit it out, and we were able to sit at the sushi bar for one of those meals. The sushi was delicious, but really inconsistent. I got a spicy tuna roll 2 different nights, and they were completely different both nights. Like one time they had tuna on top of them, and the second time it was just rice. So I had no idea what was going on there, if there was just a certain new chef working, but completely inconsistent in that regard. The sushi quality was pretty good, all things considered. We got sashimi, and the salmon sashimi literally had no fat. It kind of looked like raw chicken, but for an all-inclusive, it was fine. I would definitely say stick more to the tuna if you're gonna do anything sushi related, or just the fried salmon or crab or anything else that they have that's tempura style. But for raw fish, I would steer clear of the salmon. Moving on to the Japanese side, the menu was really good. The highlights for us were the fried rice, and then we got a dessert, which was fried ice cream, which we were really excited about. However, they set up rum on fire and then poured it onto the fried ice cream, and it ended up just tasting like a burnt shot of rum. It was absolutely horrific. So that was a terrible way to end the meal, but otherwise, Zen is really good, all things considered. Chow is the Italian restaurant on the property, and I consider myself to be an Italian food snob because I lived in the Northeast my whole life. When I think of Italian food, I kind of equate to New York, New Jersey, pizza Italian. It was pretty Americanized Italian. It wasn't anything too crazy, but with that being said, it wasn't great. The fried calamari was pretty good. The one standout dish in the Italian restaurant was the short ribs. It was cooked pretty well. It was tender, fall off the bone. It was a little fatty, but had really good flavor, so that did save the dining experience for me. They did have pizza that was slightly better than the pizza that they serve outside near the pool area, but that being said, I wouldn't go to Mexico to get pizza regardless. If you live probably anywhere other than the Northeast, you'll probably think it's pretty good, but I just found it tolerable at best. it wasn't anything to rag home about by any means. The next restaurant isn't on the Hard Rock website at all. Like, for whatever reason, whenever you look at this, there's no mention of this, but there's actually a seafood restaurant on the property. This restaurant is called Isla Sur, and because it's not listed on the property, we thought that we weren't allowed to eat there. But I have to say, Isla Sur, which is a seafood restaurant, had some of the best food that we've eaten at the Hard Rock for the entire week. Everything was delicious. They had mussels that were really good. They had fried crab balls, which were delicious. They had this really, really good seafood bisque that was in a bread bowl, which I devoured. Good luck trying to find a menu online. We tried to find one for this video, and it's literally nowhere to be mentioned anywhere on any website, but I'm here to tell you it is a must hit while you're staying at the Hard Rock, without a doubt. Frida is a Mexican restaurant which doubles as the buffet, and honestly, we really only hit it for the buffet, unfortunately. But for the breakfast buffet, there was a really nice assortment of pastries. They had the typical buffet food like eggs, bacon, sausage, hash browns, and they also had an amazing taco station there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which we definitely took advantage of it for breakfast pretty much every time we walked into the buffet. I will say the service is a little shaky at the buffet. We were seated by our waiter, we were brought water, and then after that, they never came back to refill our water or check to see if we wanted any other drinks. I mean, we were there for breakfast, so even orange juice or apple juice would have been nice to have, but some people were getting served mimosas. I'm not sure if that was just our server or if you had to go serve yourself, but no one mentioned us getting up to serve ourselves anything. It was kind of just like, what are we doing here? But all in all, I have to say, the star of the show for me, at least because I've ordered it so much, was the room service. The room service is 24/7, and because we are a cruise channel, we don't do all-inclusives too much, and not many places include room service anymore. So it was a really nice break to have room service 24/7 on call. And they do have different menus depending on the time of day that you want to go, but we ordered it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it was all really, really good. The typical time was about 40 minutes from when you hung up the phone, placing your order, to when the food would come to your room. And the staff was so friendly, so happy. At one point, we had a tray of like 8 or 9 entrees because we had a couple people in our room, and they were happy to bring it in with a smile. They were talking, hanging out with us for a little while, and the room service quality was fantastic. The late night options weren't skimpy by any means. We had chicken tenders, we had burgers. They had a really nice assortment of food pretty much throughout the day. We started every morning with room service for breakfast, and I have to say the pancakes were a crowd favorite. Their eggs were a crowd favorite. And then they had an avocado egg dish, which was pretty good. But I have to say, if you're looking, definitely get the pancakes. They are fantastic. Also worth noting that it is kind of hard to find bottles of water throughout the property. So if you're looking for a bottle of water, you can get them from room service, and they bring the liter bottles. If you go to any bar, they pretty much just pour you a glass of water. They don't have bottles pretty much anywhere. Since it is all-inclusive and you are probably going to be drinking kind of heavily, I definitely recommend ordering room service, if not for anything, just water and soda. But that kind of brings us to the drinks portion of the resort. And I have to say, there are 7 bars on the property, 2 of which are reserved for the upgraded members through the Hard Rock's loyalty status. So you won't be able to get there unless you're at a certain level or a certain room. But we'll just start with the normal day. The pool bars open at 11 a.m. They have a really good assortment of drinks and liquors. If you're looking for beer, it is pretty limited. Everything is pretty much made in Mexico. There's no American beers that you can get while you're at the Hard Rock for the most part. We drank a lot of Patron Añejo because, when in Mexico, tequila, it only makes sense. But with that being said, because it is a more premium spirit, it did run out pretty frequently. Like every day by like 3 or 4 p.m., it was sold out at the pool bar. So then you had to switch over to something else. Or later on at the evenings, if you were in the lobby bar, which we'll get into in a second, it would be sold out. So the more premium selections kind of run out throughout the course of the day. So if you are trying to get your money's worth and drink the more premium stuff, I'd say get to the bars early that you're going to be hanging out at, and make sure that they're serving that to you. The lobby bar is the center hub for nightlife throughout the resort. The one thing I have to say with this resort is there is no nightclub, so pretty much everyone huddles to the lobby bar as soon as it gets to like 10 p.m. to like maybe 1 a.m. So for those 3 hours, it's popping off in the lobby bar. We did go during March, so it was a little bit more of a spring break crowd. That being said, there's a DJ, kept it pretty lively, but some people did venture out to the parking lot, which is where they had a show at nighttime. and they had a band that was playing Queen cover songs, and then they had another rock through the decades kind of thing that was going on while we were there. I think those shows kind of swap back and forth throughout the course of the week, so you might see that a couple times while you're there. But the nightlife in the lobby bar was pretty much maintained with the DJ the entire night. The lobby bar itself is open probably around like 9 a.m. and stays open till whenever the crowd dissipates. But if the crowd isn't leaving, they usually close up shop around 12:30, 1 a.m. Another place where you can get cocktails, which is 24/7, is the coffee bar. It is pretty light with liquor and alcohol, but they do have some. So if you're looking to get an Irish coffee at night to end your night, or an Irish coffee to start your day, earlier in the day, you could definitely do so at the coffee bar. I will have to say though, cocktails overall were pretty average at best. I'm a big fan of mojitos, and I'm not sure what they were putting in their mojitos, if it was the seltzer or the simple syrup, but they didn't taste good. So for the most part, I stuck to frozen cocktails or just straight liquors, so shots or things on the rocks, just so I didn't have to play this guessing game of will it taste good or won't it taste good. So unfortunately, I will have to say a check against the Hard Rock is their cocktails aren't great. I kind of mentioned the DJ in the nightclub, so diving right into entertainment, the Hard Rock did a really good job of making sure everyone was entertained pretty much from 10 a.m. through 1 a.m. They had a lot of daytime activities like water aerobics, salsa classes. They even had blackjack by the poolside. So there was a lot of things to do during the daytime. And then when we got into like the wee hours of the evening, they would have karaoke in the lobby, which would open up the dance floor. And then that's when people would start dancing later on in the evening hours. So if you don't want to get drunk the entire day, there is activities to do that don't revolve around alcohol, which is pretty nice. I mean, we were watching people do water aerobics, and then they brought in some spin cycles. So they even had a little bit of spin class, so you could feel good about yourself by starting the morning with activity, so you didn't feel like a total piece of trash waking up hungover. The real star of the show for the entertainment, I will say, is only happening 2 days a week, which is Wednesdays and Saturdays, and that is the foam party. I was truly surprised that I didn't get pink eye because the foam was just shooting everywhere. There was hundreds of people in the pool, and honestly, it did start to get a little warm because I'm sure people weren't leaving the pool to use the bathroom. So a little bit gross there, but it was absolutely electric. The music they were playing was EDM, just straight EDM. And a lot of people were jumping up and down. They were turning up. They were bringing the shots over to the foam. The foam was taller than my head at a few points, which made it kind of hard to breathe, I'm not gonna lie. But overall, it was an absolutely electric experience. I have to say, if you're gonna be there, definitely make sure you're at the foam party. The staff was really hyping it up throughout the stay before we even got there. It was an absolutely incredible experience. So with that, we kind of get into the pool because the foam party is in the pool. The left side of the pool is the turn up side. They have a DJ out front that's playing music literally from 11 to probably 6 or 7 p.m. And it's definitely a good way to keep the vibes pretty high. A lot of people dancing in the pool, a lot of people going up to the swim up bar, ordering shots throughout the course of the day. When they hear a song that they like, you can make requests, which is a really nice feature. So if you don't like the music that's being played, you can go up to the DJ, just say, hey, I want to listen to this, this, and this. And they will do their best to get those songs out there. There were some requests that were really slow, like love songs, probably because there were some couples there. And he apologized in advance, but that being said, that means he actually took those requests pretty seriously and did his best to get those songs out there. And the right side of the pool is the more chill side of the pool. That's more the family area, or at least quiet area. I wouldn't say it was too quiet because you did have some kids running around, but that is the more family friendly area. I didn't really spend too much time there, but we did take some lounger chairs from over on that side of the pool and drag them over to the left side of the pool because it was really hard to get chairs. So with this being said, let me tell you a tip. I hate these types of people, but you're gonna have to be them if you want to succeed here at the Hard Rock. Wake up early, go down to the pool and put your towels down there. It's a very common practice. There were literally hundreds of chairs that weren't being occupied the majority of the day, but they had their towels already put down to reserve them. I don't like chair hogs, but you know, when in Rome, if you can't beat them, join them. And unfortunately, in this case, you're gonna have to join them because it is really hard to find a chair in the daytime at the Hard Rock. Moving on to the accommodations, I will say overall the resort isn't gigantic, but there are a lot of venues. There are some restaurants that we didn't even get to try, and we were there for 4 nights. So even with that being said, it is a big enough venue. The pool is absolutely gigantic. I will say it is probably one of the nicest pools I've ever seen in any country, anywhere. It was massive. It backed up to a beautiful beach. and it was really well maintained. The rooms themselves, I wouldn't call 5 stars by any means, but the beds are extremely comfortable and clean. The hot tubs in the room is a really nice little addition. It's a good way to hang out during the day if you want to get away from the pool and have a little bit of serenity, because there really isn't any quiet areas in the Hard Rock unless you're paying for that upper tier where Hard Rock is trying to get you to upgrade rooms. The room stayed pretty cold whenever we had our temperature adjusted. It didn't get too hot, it didn't get too cold. It was just like how we liked it. And our mini fridge stayed cold the entire time. They didn't restock it even though we left them a note and a tip, which was a little weird, but that's totally fine. Like I said in the beginning, we got most of our sodas and waters through room service. If you're into beer though, I can see that being a really big problem because they didn't restock our mini fridge once. Overall, I have to say the Hard Rock Cancun is a fantastic place. If you are going to Cancun, Mexico, the food quality is really good. The rooms are nice and the entertainment is pretty solid overall. I mean, it's not a show in Vegas, but it is pretty good. Some knocks against the Hard Rock, however, is the lack of a nightclub. If you are going there for nightlife, or even their whole party like a rock star mentality, you would expect them to have a club, not just a bunch of chairs moved out of a lobby bar. But honestly, it still turned up and people were enjoying their time. So make lemonade out of lemons, people. And telling you everyone else at that resort is. The staff definitely makes up for the lack of a club without a doubt. And I have to say the lack of upcharges. It's not one of those all-inclusive resorts that try to charge you for a premium liquor or try to get you to book a restaurant that's not included in your price. Honestly, everything is pretty much is what it is. Everything is pretty much in your package to begin with. They do have some upcharges at the restaurants like the steakhouse and the Japanese restaurant, but they aren't really pushed in your face. If you do want a lobster tail in the steakhouse, you could buy one. But honestly, the food on the menu was very good as is, so I didn't feel the urge to spring for a little bit more, which is really nice because this isn't a terribly expensive restaurant when you put everything into consideration, especially with your entertainment, drinks, and food. I think it is pretty affordable per night. I'm gonna give the Hard Rock an overall 4.3 out of 5. It's not a 5 out of 5 because 5 out of 5 is really hard to do, but it's definitely not a 4 out of 5 either because it does offer some premium options. And I have to say, if it had a nightclub, it would probably be etching closer to a 4.6. But overall, I really enjoyed my time, and I definitely think if you are in the market to go to Cancun, it is a definitely top contender. You should be looking at it and make your own judgment, but I have to say, really good time overall. And usually we rate cruises, and this is one of our first times going to an all-inclusive resort. So if you like this video, please let us know in the comments. Maybe we'll start doing some more all-inclusives. But for now, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.